Ricardo, I would still beat you up. I'm sorry, I didn't mean that in a mean way or violent. Welcome, everybody. Happy afternoon. Does that make sense? Good afternoon, good evening, good morning to you, depending on where you are tuning in from. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is the very first episode of our 2022 March Madness App Showdown, hence the gear, because Ricardo and I are going to turn up the madness right now. So we're so excited to be here with our guest speaker, who is going to introduce himself right now. Let
me get the confetti going. Hold on. There you go.
Sorry, we're a hot mess today. It's because I have all this gear. I'm all sweaty right now.
Well, hello. My name is Gabriel Ward. I'm happy to join everyone today and to be able to share a little bit more about our programs that we're going to be having compete head-to-head today.
Thank you so much for joining us, Gabriel. For those of you who have never seen us before, I promise we are serious when it comes to technology and what we do. My name is Teresa Castro.
And I am Ricardo Recinos.
And we are both technology TOSAs from Hacienda de la Puente Unified School District. And Ricardo has been so excited about this. He's waited a whole year, and we even got our gear ready for this exciting day. We are going to be going over 4 different apps today, and everyone gets a chance to vote to see who is the winner at the end. And I'm getting ahead of myself, as always. I'm sorry. Let's go to the next slide, please. All right. Ricardo, you want to talk about this a little bit?
Here it is. So as you guys know, it is March Madness time. All of our NCAA teams are getting ready to compete, and we wanted to do that with our tech tools that we use at our district. So we work really hard in putting this oh my God, I lost the name right now. Bracket together. Oh my God. This bracket together. That's me. I'm so excited for a year and I lost it. Our bracket right here. And we're going to start having our different tech tools battle each other. Today we're starting with, and I think you can show that on the next slide, right, Teresa? Here it goes.
All right, so our purpose, as always, even though we're having fun, we need to make sure that we have our purpose. Discover new and exciting technologies to deliver, assess, and tailor instruction for all students in engaging and effective ways. This is going to be a fun month because we're going over some of our favorite tools to use to engage our students, to assess them, to deliver our instruction. And today, we're just going to have snippets. These are not going to be full trainings, just little teasers. If you want to hear more, of course, we have extra trainings for that. So today, we're going to be going over DreamBox, IXL, Kahoot, and GimKit. And our non-objective, as always, we don't expect anyone to be experts in these tech tools. Some of you might actually be, so you can share your thoughts with us. And please, we do not expect anyone to throw out everything you've already been doing.
And just to go back to the bracket, just to make sure you know, so today we are right here on the top of the bracket with IXL going against DreamBox. And on the other side, we have GimKit going against Kahoot as we move through the bracket to the championship at the end.
All right. So very quickly, Gabriel, did you want to give a quick talk about what this is before we get into it?
I'd rather just jump straight into it and let everyone kind of see what those platforms are. If you weren't already aware, the programs that I'll be talking about today both involve some math. So that is what we have in store. And whenever you're ready for me to get started, I'll get going.
All right, perfect. So the first one Gabriel will be going over is DreamBox. Let's go to the next one, Ricardo. And he will also be going over IXL, 2 tools that our students use in our district. And I've seen even my daughter used it at her district. So I know that these are very popular. And let's keep going so that they have a little sneak peek of what we're covering. Kahoot, this has been around forever. I know most of you have already heard of this tool. So we're going to be going over that today. And GimKit. You know what? I noticed in the last slide you didn't update what I put, but you updated it so that you're.
I'm not playing fair.
He's not playing fair. Kahoot on steroids, according to Ricardo, is GimKit. But if you haven't seen it, it's pretty amazing too.
Also known as GimKit. Yes.
All right, I think we're ready to go. I think they're tired.
Before we start, though, I did want to mention that at least at our district, all of these tools and all of these apps are available through our Launchpad through ClassLink. So our students can just go into ClassLink and click and be able to use them. Yes.
Amazing.
Awesome. All right. So I'm starting us off, as I mentioned, with our two different math platforms, DreamBox versus IXL. And just like my little fingers are indicating, it's a debate. It's a little bit of a, here's what we have from each of our sides, and we'll let you ultimately make the decision for yourselves. So let me go ahead and jump us into it. So with these two platforms, I kind of make it think like almost like it's no holds bar. Everything's on the table and we're kind of going at it. So let me get my music, kind of get me in the mood.
I love it.
No, but a little bit of seriousness. DreamBox and IXL, two great platforms, and really you can't go wrong with either one. Both of them offer some math, visual, conceptual information, and we'll be able to delve into. So it just wants to keep going for me, huh?
Just wants to keep going. That's all right. It's all good.
That's okay. So these are what some people had to say. So we're starting off here with what people are considering with regards to DreamBox. So I'm not going to read all of those various quotes, but just highlight a couple of them. So one of the things that some people said was the fact like they felt like students were playing. It never felt like they couldn't get something done. The fact that DreamBox customizes intervention, that it's based on understanding and based on data. It's not only informative for teachers, but it's really advancing student learning. And this is one of the biggest things I think that people can say about DreamBox is the fact that it's very much conceptually based. I love the way that this individual kind of described it, which is to say, when we think about mathematics, we talk a lot about understanding the progression, whether it be any concept in kindergarten all the way through high school. Ideally, students are moving from the beginning phases, which would be more the concrete. They're touching it, it's hands-on, to eventually they're drawing it, they're dealing with models, if you will, some representations, to eventually it's the abstract, which I think a lot of people would consider your traditional math, where we're looking at numbers, it's in symbolic form. So that's a natural progression. And this individual happened to say that they believed that DreamBox flowed in that progression that we'd like to see things go. So I think these comments really do a lot of justice. So if you haven't had a chance, take a look at them. I highlighted some of the things, and there's plenty more that's out there, but just some that I grabbed to highlight kind of what is DreamBox. So what DreamBox does have is they kind of lay out for us whether you are a teacher, whether you are an administrator, or whether you are a parent, really. And basically, they delve into each of those different kind of components, whatever the group you happen to be a part of. And you can hover your cursor around any one of those little small things. And you can see in the image that I have here, where it basically breaks it down for you and to better understand what you have available. So that's one of the things I really thought was nice from their interface, is to be able to see from the outside looking in without even signing up for anything, without even kind of getting into it, just a quick preview in terms of what is available to you, whatever group you happen to be a part of. Now, as far as case studies go, there are actually quite a few. So one of the things that they rolled out for us is the fact that a lot of districts, a lot of schools, even homeschools are using this platform across the country. And they kind of delved up to be able to see, what is it that different places have done and seen the success they had. And one of the things that I was delving into, I noticed that they said that through a Harvard study, they were able to identify the percentage increase. And off the top of my head, I can't recall exactly what it was, but a lot of schools that happen to be using this are seeing not only through just informal observation, but also through the actual assessments, whether it be summative, state, scores are improving. And again, I'll get that exact percentage, but I thought that was pretty nice. And what they do have here, they compiled each of these case studies. So if you were to click on any one of these various districts, you're going to be able to read an article that highlights what they've been able to accomplish with their district utilizing DreamBox. Now, when we look at DreamBox, when you very first get in, this is the screen that teachers are faced with. It's their newer interface that they've kind of come out with. And right away, I started to pick up on things. And I'm going to give you a moment first just to look at it, to see what you might notice as you kind of look at all the data that's really fast, just dumped and thrown in your face. So I'll give you a moment to do that to make some sense for yourself.
As everyone's taking a look at that, I know, Gabriel, some of our schools started with DreamBox a little bit earlier than other schools, and it's just to add, the reason why it's become so big is I think people really have seen the progress, like you stated in your last slide, kids moving through and it improving their scores too, right, and their understanding. So pretty awesome.
Thank you. Yeah. So, okay. So when you look at this, if something didn't already stand out to you, first of all, there's a lot of colors going on, right? One of the things that kind of stood out to me was that far right column. And I see the column highlighted at the top where it says prediction. And so what they do is they try to determine, based on the usage, are students likely to be on track for grade level standards and grade level success. And so for the most part, it really rules two categories: whether students are on track or they're potentially on track. Now, the other realm or the other option is for they don't have enough data. So if students aren't using it extensively, or they aren't using it to what they would expect, and one of the things that they talk about is the expectation that students would complete a minimum of 5 lessons per week. And so in doing so, you're on track, or at least getting enough data for the system to be able to determine where students are at. So if a student isn't utilizing it enough, you may see where it's insufficient data. And that's that far column on the right-hand side. Now, moving across, we'll probably notice that the other thing that stands out are those numbers. And kind of highlighted, almost looks like a little gauge, right? And so what that tells us is the amount of lessons that students are completing in any given week. And that's what we're really looking at. We're looking at a snapshot of this current week, and that's the default setting. Can you look at if instead, and as opposed to a week, a month? Absolutely. You can kind of configure what you're looking at. And that's one of the things that DreamBox really does a good job of, is giving us a lot of data, a lot of things that we can kind of chew on to be able to determine how effective the program is being with our students. Now, as far as the time, it's pretty self-explanatory. How much time is being spent within that week on students? And the way they kind of determine it is, I think it's Sunday all the way to the next Saturday. So it's that really, it's not just the weekdays, but also encompassing the beginning and ending of the weekend, if you will. Now, as far as the lessons completed, that's where you have the ability to check on any individual student. Now, because we want to make sure we're not giving any student data information away, you can see on the far left column, it's kind of been covered up. But essentially, you have the ability as the teacher to click on any one of your students and get a better indication of kind of where they're at. So let me go ahead and do that now. So this is me as if I were clicking on selecting on one particular student. Now, something that stood out to me right away as I started to get more into this program is the fact that when we think about our standards, by and large, they're really grouped or clumped together by, we talk about these domains or these clusters, as some people refer to them as. And when you look on that far left where it says domain, they match just in fact with our Common Core State standards. So if you look at place value, multiplication, division, those are lumping some of those big overarching concepts together. So as a teacher, if I wanted to see not just how is my student performing overall, how much lessons have they done, how much time have they spent, but I wanted to kind of see where with regards to multiplication and division my student performing. I click on that and it will show you the lessons that your students have been completing for that particular domain or cluster. So you could see right there where it gives me the opportunity to see the name of the activity, the proficiency by which my students actually performing on that, and you can go even further beyond. So one of the things that I liked, in addition to the zoomed in, if you will, real view for a student, you could really be able to highlight not only the days. If you looked at the bottom there, you see for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, again, that week snapshot, how much time is my student spending on each day and how many lessons are they completing? So maybe say, for example, you've asked your class to do those 5 lessons for themselves every given week. You might see, are they spacing it appropriately? Is it a lesson a day my students are doing, or is it something they're jamming all into one day, which might in turn impact the results, how they're performing. So again, it gives you a lot of details with regards to the data it yields. So here, what we're looking at real fast is just kind of another view. This is more so us as opposed to looking at the individual student. This is zoomed out again, but now we're looking at it in terms of the month. So you can see as a month view, how have my students been able to perform? And so I think this goes back to with one of the comments that we had shown earlier, which is to say, you're going to get a lot of data that you're going to in turn be able to make a lot of your decisions with.
Right.
And this is the last thing that I wanted to, one of the last things I wanted to highlight, which is the way that DreamBox works is a little bit different than a lot of other platforms. And one of the reasons is because a lot of platforms will use what we consider a diagnostic assessment, where they'll take a test, and depending upon how the student performs on that diagnostic assessment, they in turn get all of the other subsequent lessons the system, if you will, places a student based on how they performed on that diagnostic assessment. Whereas with DreamBox, it's not going to be the case. Instead, what's going to happen is they're going to be able to start based on their grade level. So let's say, for example, in that sample that I showed, we had 4th grade. When the students first start, because they are a 4th grader, they're going to get activities that are obviously related to that particular grade level. Now, based on how they perform, that's when the system's really going to try to use that adaptive technology to take it a step further and provide the students with the activities that they need. Now, having said that, one of the really cool things that I looked at was most of the time when systems do that, they look at in terms of was the answer provided or did the student successfully answer this question? One of the things that DreamBox does to kind of up the ante is they move beyond just looking at in terms of is it a right or wrong answer? They also take into consideration what manipulatives, virtually of course, did the student elect to use? How long did it spend to be able to address and answer those particular questions? So there's a multitude of factors that are kind of considered in determining where a student is placed along those lines. Now, I'm here because I want to highlight the fact that even though we know computers can be very intelligent and appropriately place students based on where they shoe, we know as educators, we also have a pretty good indication. Maybe you taught a lesson most recently on, let's say, for example, on fractions, and you said, you know what, so-and-so and so-and-so is having a challenging time, or maybe they need some acceleration. They need things to take them beyond because they clearly demonstrated they're already understanding grade level concepts. You have the ability within DreamBox to be able to assign. And not only are you able to assign things for students beyond what they've already been given through the adaptive program that DreamBox utilizes, you could assign things in kind of 3 different major ways. 1, you could assign stuff from DreamBox based on those domains, which I had shown earlier, kind of the lumped or that cluster overall. But in DreamBox, you also have the ability to look at our standards. So in California, you could on the drop down, you can select a specific standard and then assign assignments based on that. Or because DreamBox connects with your regular schools district's curriculum, so in our case, we happen to utilize Go Math, you could automatically say, let's say, for example, I just finished up chapter 8. From click chapter 8 and Go Math option, and then you'd have the ability to find things that are relevant to what you just covered. So again, you have this really high level ability for the system to adapt based on your student's performance. You also have the ability to tailor it to meet the needs of your student based on your expertise as the professional and the teacher, right? To make those decisions. What should they get if they're not already getting stuff given by the computer? So I wanted to make sure I shared those various points of it. And then this last one that I broke down is really kind of just taking a beyond where you see very much drilled down to week by week breakdown if you wanted to go to the data. So you hopefully have gotten a good chance to see just a snippet of terms of what is available for us with regards to DreamBox. There's a lot more further that we can go to in terms of looking at what does it look like from the student's perspective. But we've really seen quite a bit in terms of the data that it yields and better understand the fact that DreamBox provides that conceptual opportunity for kids to be able to make sense of whatever math concept they might be working on. And for the most part, as a teacher, I think the main thing is once you kind of get them going on it, your main responsibility would be just monitoring the progress to see, are they completing those at least 5 assignments per week? And you can get a better idea of where they're at. And if you needed to, of course, that option to be able to assign to tailor it to your students. So I'm going to take a quick pause before we jump into our next platform that we're going to discuss. So if you give me just a moment, we'll be right back.
So while we're pausing, everybody, I've known about DreamBox for a while, and I've seen my daughter use it. I've seen our kids in our district use it, and I didn't know a lot of the things that Gabriel talked about.
I was going to say the same thing, with our subbing issues. I've been in the classroom, especially elementaries, and I've seen a lot of our teachers using DreamBox and their students working on it. And I've seen, it looks like a game, but I didn't know all of this data was right behind it. And amazing, right? Because our students are engaged, they are learning, they're trying, and the teacher is able to modify and basically plan based on some of this data that we see over here. Pretty incredible.
I think some teachers don't know, the capabilities as well. They kind of put their kids on, and it just works on its own, which is amazing. But to be able to tailor it yourself. Oh, wow. Who's that? Gabriel, is that you?
Josh, just a quick little change. If we're going to be talking about different platforms, I think we might as well have a change of senior as well. Wardrobe change number 2.
Gabriel 2.0.
He fits right in. All right. Good luck, Gabriel 2.0.
All right.
Your
So we're
turn.
going to delve into a different platform. So we're no longer looking at DreamBox and its amazingness. We're now going to be considering IXL. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my screen share. So give me a moment to do that and pull it up for you.
Sure.
I can't stop laughing.
That was great.
That was great.
Here it goes.
All righty. So we had started earlier looking at some of the feedback because, again, I could sit here and explain all I want to you, but I want to give you an opportunity to see what are other people saying about the platform. So I'm just going to, like I did before, highlight some of these things with regards to what are some of the benefits of IXL. So some people are saying the fact that it allows teachers, and that's one of the things we hear from teachers all the time. I know myself always talking about time. I wish I had more time. This platform allows more time for teaching and a little less time for you digging around and dealing with whatever you're trying to plan. One of the other things that stood out to the fact that there's so many different ways that you can view student progress. You can see their specific strengths and you can see their weaknesses. Another one, every skill becomes extra support on what you've covered in school. So it's taking it and adding to whatever students are learning in the classroom and building upon that. And the last one, I think this was huge, which is from a student, I never knew math could be so much fun. We talk a lot about math and math self-esteem and kind of people's perspective of what math is. And for students to recognize the fact that it is fun is obviously a tremendous win. So
Wow.
I hopefully see we're getting off to a great start with looking at what IXL offers our students and offers our teachers, as well as our parents who happen to all have positive things to say about the platform. I'll give you another couple of seconds if there's anything else that you'd like to look there. I read some of the big nuggets. All right, so IXL, different platform. The way that they break it down is really to look at three main ways that they consider. One is the fact that IXL moves beyond just mathematics. If you weren't already aware, IXL, in addition to mathematics, has content and activities available in other areas: language arts, science, social studies, Spanish. So there's a multitude of different things. Now, of course, we're going to highlight and focus on the mathematics, but understanding that IXL, there's one thing right there right away, that it offers these other content areas available. We know that it's trusted by educators and parents. There's a lot of positive comments that we just saw right there, but there's a lot of people across the country that are utilizing this platform. Now, one of the big things, and we're going to do our best to highlight that for you, is to say that you have a lot more things at your fingertips with regards to what IXL can offer you as the teacher. Things that you might consider, how could I utilize this with my students to provide that just-in-time support or that instantaneous feedback from you as the teacher? So let's go ahead and go a little bit further with this. This is one of the things they talked about. It's always looking at data. And what IXL said is what they did is they compared for the districts or schools that were using IXL in contrast with those that were not. And they saw longitudinally an improvement in summative test scores or state test scores when those schools had been using IXL. And for the schools that had been, or districts that had been using it for longer, they saw even more gains. So again, this is information from research that they had done, but this is one of the big things I think when we talk about looking at success and how does this in turn, whatever platform you happen to be using, how is the effect that it has with regards to what you're currently learning or even on assessments. And we see that here. Now, yes, there is a diagnostic assessment with IXL. Now, based on that diagnostic assessment, it's going to tell us as the teacher several different things. First off, if you look real fast at that overall math level, it provides a score in the form of a number. And that particular math level is kind of indicative or correlated to the grade level. So in this example we have here, it says 850. So that's to say that a student is performing based on this diagnostic at 8th grade level. And because it says 850 being halfway to 900, the student is technically, according to IXL and their diagnostic, performing in the middle of 8th grade. So I want to be very clear, if a student was performing, let's say it was at 400, that would mean that the student was at a 4th grade level. So hopefully we understand that those each chunk of hundreds is correlated to a grade level. And if it's 50, it's in the halfway point. Now, in addition to telling us what grade level our students are at, they also kind of give you recommended skills. And you can see right here, here are the recommended skills that this particular student in the sample we're looking at would really benefit from. So again, students take this one diagnostic assessment. Based on how they perform there, it tells us as the teacher approximately what grade level are my students performing on with regards to math. And then as well, it gives me chunks of activities that would be recommended based on how they performed. Now, here's one thing that I think is huge, and I think it would be huge whether you're doing both in-person or even online instruction, and for those places still utilizing that component, and that's the live classroom feature with regards to IXL. And if you're saying live classroom, it is just like it sounds. It really provides you a really cruel indication in terms of where are your kiddos at. And it's almost instantaneous in terms of, depending upon what a student answers, you as the teacher will see exactly what they actually respond with. So here what we're looking at, this is an overview of the live classroom. It's going to tell me how many students I have currently working on whatever activity I have them doing. You can see where it says a little pause button for idle. That's talking about in terms of how many students are timed out. Now, one of the things that the platform says is if you have students that have been sitting for more than 5 minutes not answering questions, and maybe they got up to use the restroom, maybe it's some other reason we're not necessarily sure of, that's going to put them in the idle position. So you're going to know as the teacher, hey, it's not that my students are having a challenging time with it, but more so maybe they had to take a break for whatever reason, but they're not there for more than 5 minutes at the very least. As far as students need help, if students are answering quite a few questions wrong, it's going to indicate to you as the teacher, hey, this student is going to need support in that moment. And then, of course, it also tells you the amount of questions your students have been practicing. So let's take another look at it. This is kind of more of a, here's what I see, almost if you think of it as one tile per student. So each one of those tiles indicates to us as the teacher, where is my student at? And a couple of things you're going to notice right away, probably, is the fact that there's some numbers being thrown around. You see 78, 58, 100. All of those are to say how my students are performing on this particular activity that they're currently working on. In addition to that, you may have noticed some of the little small, look like little dash marks, if you will, that are next to each one of those tiles. And that's to indicate to us how my students are performing. Green, sure as you might have guessed it, means that our students are answering those questions correctly, whereas red means they're incorrect. And gray is probably because that's the question they're currently on. You can see some of our little things have that little pause button. Remember, those are our friends who are idle or who aren't necessarily working for the time being. Now, you can move beyond and say, okay, well, this is a quick snapshot as my class is working. Let's say, for example, you tell students, you know what? All right, guys, it's our 10 minutes for IXL or however much you're allotting for them. And you know that your students are working. You have the ability to see how hard are they working? How are they doing? Are they needing extra support from you as the teacher? Is it maybe, hey, I know so-and-so needs some extra support. Let me pull them back to the small group. But you're getting really quick, again, live feedback based on how your students are performing.
Yeah, we have some teachers on who love IXL, and shout out to Miss Claudia Diaz, and she's saying she loves live classroom. She said we race to 100 and the kids love it. So
nice,
very cool feedback. Thank you. Continue, Gabriel. Sorry.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure we highlight, because again, I alluded to those numbers you saw, but I want to make sure you understand what those numbers are referencing. And so that's to say the way that IXL kind of structures their program, they have deemed that a student is proficient once they reach 80. Now, of course, the more questions they answer correctly, they significantly rise, and vice versa. If they answer questions incorrectly, it reduces that. Now, that doesn't mean that a student can't answer things wrong and eventually get there. Of course, we go with growth mindset. They may not be there yet, but understanding that once they cross that threshold of 80, they're considered proficient. And eventually, if they ever to get to 100, then they're considered to be mastered of that particular concept that they're on. So here's where we kind of delve a little bit deeper into the individual student. So earlier we zoomed out, we saw the whole class. Now we're looking at a student. In this faux example we have here with Albert Einstein, you have the ability to click on that student in the live classroom, and you will see specifically what question are they currently on. You also have the ability to highlight and see how did they answer on all these questions. So it's not just, did they get it wrong? Did they get it right? You're looking for trends. You're looking for themes. You're looking to see, is there something that I'm seeing a lot of my students are doing? Maybe it's a common mistake or a common error that you're seeing, in which case, of course, pause the class, use that data that I've just gained to be able to, in turn, adjust whatever I need to. So again, live classroom, obviously, just in time, you're seeing the supports that your students might need. and you could respond accordingly. One of the interesting things that they highlighted here was the fact that with our live classroom, not only can you see individually students how they're performing, but you can also focus on just the ones that are being answered wrong. So you see the little cursor that's there where it says shows missed questions only. You can see what are the ones that they're only getting wrong, so I can use that to be able to inform me for whatever I'm going to do next. Now, this is one thing to highlight just real fast so you can see how much it is exactly synced, if you will, based on how a student's performing versus what you as the teacher are seeing. So on the right side, you're seeing a student screen. So our student is given the problem 4 plus 8. Once they answer it correctly or incorrectly, then that score is going to fluctuate, as we talked about earlier. And that same score that you see there is going to match exactly with what you see on your teacher screen on the left-hand side. So again, as students performing, you're seeing as the teacher the results almost instantaneously. So this is one of the things that I thought was a little bit different. And so in addition to the fact that you have live classroom, which you could have students working at different particular things that they may be on, here what they consider to be called group jam. What group jam does in IXL is it allows you as the teacher to highlight either one particular activity or one particular concept so that all of your students are working on the same exact thing. Now, of course, there might be times when this makes the most sense and there might be times when it doesn't. We understand fully that kiddos are all at different places. Some of them may be working on either a concept you had taught previously, or some still are ready to move beyond what you're currently teaching and they're looking at other things. But in this particular case for group jam, this is when all kiddos are working on the same thing and you can kind of almost pace it out where how we see the whole class is doing. Leaderboard. Now, I'll be honest with you. Some people may be all about this. Some people may not be. I wish that it had the ability for us to be able to either change or kind of make it anonymous, the names. But this is an opportunity for some friendly competition, as IXL dubs it. And so you as the teacher have the ability to structure these little bit of a competition, if you will. So you as the teacher might elect to say, you know what, I'm going to say for the next, let's say, hour or for the next couple days, this is the competition. And based on that, your students will be able to see who's either moving towards the top or who's having a more challenging time, which again, I wholeheartedly agree. There might be some pros to that and of course some drawbacks. In terms of what you're being able to tailor it to, it really gives you a lot of freedom. Not only are you selecting how long is this little friendly competition going for, but you also get to determine what are they measuring. Maybe they're saying the number of questions that students are answering correctly. Maybe it's the amount of time that they're spending on the platform. So there's different ways to fluctuate. So that way you can provide opportunities for all of our kiddos to experience some success. But again, if you're the teacher that likes and provides more of that competitive arena, the fact that they even have this leaderboard is something that you might be interested in. The last thing I want to cover with regards to IXL is the fact that they offer you this amazing blog resource. And so I'm going to go on and click on that. I think I'm going to have to share this tab. Give me a moment and see if it goes through. Can y'all confirm that we're seeing the tab with regards to the blogs? All right, so here what you're seeing is what IXL provides to you as the educator. So they are constantly updating this with what's the new features, what are some of the things that you can be able to do. So maybe it's not necessarily a new concept, but how maybe you could utilize it other than the way you may have already been doing it. So what they're doing is constantly updating this and just providing us with either research or new ways to utilize their program. And I think that that was something that really caught my eye, is to say, you know what, as a teacher, you might be using a program for months, weeks, even years, and still not know everything there is to know. We're always learning. But if you're interested in learning, IXL right here has some great resources for you as the teacher, just to quickly scan and skim it and better know the platform. So ultimately, whether you're more in the realm of DreamBox or you're more in the corner of IXL, either way, these are two amazing math platforms that guaranteed to have your students having some fun and guaranteed to have them learning some more mathematics. So in terms of the decision, I leave that up to you, but hopefully we know a little bit more about these two platforms. And of course, it's just a little beginning of it. There's so much more to go.
Gabriel, I have a question for you,
Yes, ma'am.
but I don't want you to give us the answer. Do you have one that you would choose over the other? Don't tell us which one, because that will sway everyone's vote because they'll trust you.
Well,
Just
I think
curious.
all the time we are biased, and I would say I probably have some more familiarity with one over the other. But to be honest, there's positive comments from both platforms. So I really don't think there is a winner and a loser if you really think about it, because guess what? At the end of the day, we're talking math and our kids are having fun.
Well, that was a very politically correct answer.
You owe me $5. He didn't say it.
Gabriel, that was, you know what, we were saying, I think while you were transforming to Gabriel number 2, that we've been familiar with these apps for quite a while, but you've shown us more that we didn't know about. And so I could just imagine, we know that we've been going into the classrooms and seeing teachers using these apps. And I think some of them might even not know the capabilities that they can do to, you know, personalize things. So thank you so much for sharing that information. I know you took time to research that and to put it together for us. So thank you so much. And you are free to stay, but you're also free to go, because we're going to go for another probably 24 minutes to do our 2 other apps. So you're free to go and enjoy time with your family, or you may stay. It's entirely up to you.
Thank you so much, Gabriel.
Thank you for having me, and have fun doing math, y'all.
Thank you.
That was really good.
That was.
I learned so much.
Can we stop the show right there? Oh my God.
Now we're done. I don't want to be against Gabriel.
So we're going to go on and move on, and we'll have our battle number 2 between Kahoot and GimKit. So Teresa, would you like to start with Kahoot?
It doesn't matter to me. You can decide who goes first.
Okay. I can go ahead and share your screen. I am seeing us right now on the screen. So if you want to, there we go. So here it comes.
I'm not ready yet then. Maybe you should have gone first.
You want me to start? I can start if you want me to.
No, okay. Let me just
there you go.
Let me just adjust my screen. It's loading right now.
You also have a PowerPoint.
I
should have prepared one.
I'm sorry.
I should have prepared one. Huh.
I hope it doesn't go to the beginning. Oh, of course it did. I'm sorry. Okay, everyone, we're starting over from the beginning. I'm just kidding. I attached it to our presentation. Here we are. Okay, so I'm going to be going over Kahoot, and there are so many things. We've been using Kahoot for a long time, even when I was back in the classroom. And anyway, I'm just going to get into it. There's a lot of things that I can't show you live. I will take you through some of the features that I think make it an obvious winner. And I will also take you into the dashboard. And I know our time is a little bit limited. So Kahoot, make learning fun, engaging, and impactful at home and at school. Kahoot is a game-based learning platform that makes it easy to create, share, and play learning games or trivia quizzes in minutes. So not only is it super exciting for the kids, it's also very easy to make. And I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit more about that. So here are just some fun things that make Kahoot a little bit different from other platforms. You can, as of recent, you can add your Bitmoji to Kahoot, which people love seeing their Bitmojis in there. Ricardo, I must admit.
You know, I have to say that I use it when I'm teaching my online classes, and my students, it just creates the feel of togetherness and belonging, because they see me in all of the different Kahoot games. Yeah, I have to give you that.
Fun. Yeah. Thank you. 1 point for me. And then they also have a public Kahoot library. So for teachers who are kind of apprehensive because they're like, oh, this is just going to take me so much time to put together, there's a library of things that you can use. Units, courses, individual quizzes that you could take, and you can use them as is, or you could take them and edit them to be customized to what you need it for. It's really amazing. I mean, you can't go wrong with that. Okay. There's different ways to customize. You can add a theme. Like, for example, you know, our show, we love our little Rainbow Beautiful theme here. If I were making one, I would use that theme across the board. You can use Vimeo and also YouTube. You could put those into the actual quizzes. You can spice it up using GIFs, and I'm going to show you that in about a minute. You could assign Kahoot not just live in the classroom. I know we're used to seeing people use it live, but you can also assign challenges for homework as well. And at the bottom, Kahoot can now read questions and answers aloud. So now it's not always a quiz of reading. They can also read the questions to our students so that they can comprehend what you're really asking them. Okay. The top right, it says right here, use reports for formative assessments. And just like all the information we heard from Gabriel, how important it is to use these as formative assessments. Not only are they fun, but they guide our instruction and they tell us, are our kids ready to move on, or are they ready to, or do we need to review something? So very, very useful, not just for fun. Okay, so there's just some different ways that people and teachers have been sharing how to use Kahoot. They can use it to show their thinking. You can break questions into multiple sections, explain how they're going to do something. I never knew this before. Kahoot was, for simple answers and questions initially when I thought of it, but I didn't realize how much deeper you can go now using Kahoot. You can collaborate with Jigsaw. You can have kids collaborate together. There's even ghost mode, which is cool. And kids can retake quizzes and they can go against themselves, their old scores. So if they took the quiz already, it remembers what they had and they're pretty much going up against themselves to see if they've improved in that skill, right? Pretty awesome. So you can even do it without devices. There's a little template like this online where the kids can just hold up the color of, whatever answer choice they have. Even if you don't have devices, maybe the teacher just projecting, you could still use it for fun. Of course, we can challenge our students to create their own Kahoots. So not only they're participating, they're actually coming up with these quizzes on their own and using them with their friends. So how much better a way to show your mastery of something than being able to actually create your own quiz of something, right? You have to know a lot about it in order to do that. So very, very great. So you can also do break the ice with selfie Kahoot. There's lots of templates in there, especially in the beginning, getting to know you Kahoots for getting to know the teacher, getting to know one another. So I'll show you that in a moment. You can also use Kahoot to take a fun poll. Like this one says pizza party, extra recess for a week, just to get a poll of the students for anything. I just added a few points here. You can also edit and customize editing existing Kahoots, which is what I mentioned earlier. So even though you are taking it from someone else, you can edit it. And of course, you can always go back and edit your own as well and duplicate. Okay. Someone's idea here, they said use a blind Kahoot to introduce new topics. And what that really means is we think of Kahoot more of a review after doing a lesson or maybe formative assessment during a lesson. And blind Kahoot is actually using it in the beginning of a lesson, more of a, to get the students engaged and curious about what you're teaching. So a lot of the time you'll ask them something, and for the most part, if it's a new concept, a lot of your students are going to answer wrong. They won't know what you're talking about, but it will ignite their curiosity, and you can kind of see that grow and you can see them progress. So that's a new idea. I was just researching right now. Very cool. So, Ricardo, were you going to say something?
No. I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Just checking. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and bring you into the platform right now. And I'm going to give myself 5 minutes so I could be fair to my opponent here. Okay, so here I am in Kahoot, and I'm just going to go across the top very quickly. This is not a how-to training. We know we don't have time for that, but I'm just going to show off a little bit because Kahoot is pretty amazing. So here we are at home. Lots of different things here. If you're just starting, it does show you can play a demo game. If you don't know what Kahoot is about, you can go straight into creating one. You can host one. It takes you through the steps and kind of guides you through. Okay, but we'll go up here where most of our teachers spend their time. So you can go to Discover. And when you go to Discover, there's a lot of topics, Women's History Month, movie awards, tons of things you can click on, which are usually courses or units, and they have Kahoots already in them that you can use. All right, very cool. I'm going to click on something. How about top picks? I always like to go to top picks because these are things that people have chosen across the board, and I kind of trust what everyone's using. So I'm curious to see what people have chosen. So here's Pi Day Trivia. And if you go to the 3 dots, you have some options here. You can, I already have it as my favorite. I was trying out earlier. So you can put them in your favorites so that you don't have to research. Does it make sense? So you don't have to search for them again. You could put them in your library of favorites. You could add it to an actual course. So not only are you creating independent quizzes, you can create a course for the students as well. You can just play it just to try it out. You can edit it. You can duplicate it. Okay, so you can duplicate it and make it your own. Maybe you want to add questions, alter questions. It's fully up to you. So again, you can do that with any of them. Look at these cool topics. Good news of the week, movie awards, incredible women right here. So I would start with the top picks. And then, of course, if you already know what you're looking for, then you can search for them. Okay. So let me continue. So in your library, sorry, I just created this account right now just so that I had the premium version to show you guys. So you can, I have my recent ones here. So they would show up here. And I think Ricardo's going to show you in a minute because he has his account that has a lot more that are actually being used.
I'm not helping you.
You're helping. I know you are.
I'm not helping you.
You're not? What? Oh, that's mean. Okay, so my favorites are here. Like I said, you don't have to search for them again. And if I had some shared with me, I would have them here as well. Okay, reports. Ricardo is definitely going to bring you into this because I would love you to see what reports looks like. He's laughing as if he's not going to help me. You better.
No, I'll do it right now. I use Kahoot all the time. You can see all of my Kahoots on the right side. You can see all of my latest reports. And you are absolutely right. The ability to come in here and see reports. Not sure why it's not loading, but I should have the ability to come in here again on the right side. And notice I have 297 reports right here when I use it with my students. So yes, big one.
It all the time. I love it. Okay, so your reports aren't showing. How come?
I'm not sure. Let me see if I can get one right now.
Well, go ahead. Sure. Work on it, and I'll continue. So share my screen real quick. Okay, so I'm going to keep going on my end. Ricardo, are we on mine? Okay, so if you had groups, you would also, so I'm part of a school, so I have that group and I could create new groups. Maybe I have other friends who are the same grade level, but in different schools, we can create a group and work together and use each other's resources. So Access Pass 2, these are things you could subscribe to. I don't have these right now, but just more resources for us as well. Okay, you could always go into, if you're wondering how I did get the Bitmoji, you can go in here into your settings. And you can, from here, you can connect your Bitmoji and everything if you'd like to. But let me just bring you into Create really quick. I said I was going to take. Sorry, Ricardo.
You're good. I'm used to this.
You're used to it. Yeah, you're right. So I had a choice to create a quiz or to create a course. So you got to do a full course. But whenever you click on quiz, you can create one from scratch or teach with slides. If you already have existing slides you want to use, you could. So lots of different templates here. So you have a template for formative, blind Kahoot, like what I was talking about earlier, getting to know your teacher. You could click on that and it just has a Kahoot ready to go. And you just kind of change the answers to fit for yourself. Okay. So let's just pretend. Okay. So really quickly, while I'm here, you have lots of options. You can add your GIFs if you want. It kind of goes with your questions. Kids love GIFs. You can't not smile when you look at something like this, right? I know Ricardo loves it. You can go to YouTube and add anything from YouTube that you think would work. You can even use Vimeo now. And all you have to do is go to Vimeo, get the web address and put it in here and it will stick the Vimeo right in, which is awesome. And also your audio. Okay, but I know there's so much to do here and I don't have time because I have to give Ricardo time to do it. So am I good, Ricardo?
You're good. Yes. Perfect. Thank you. And I want to be fair because I said that I do use Kahoot all the time. You actually can see my report in here and I'll just go to one if you want me to, just really quick. But when I can come in here and it gives me more data that I'm going to be able to see. And it's really slow today. I'm not sure why it's taking a while, but here it goes. But it'll tell me what the kids did, how they did, what question they had trouble with, and so on and so on. So just such a great tool to have. Yeah. So I definitely have to say that it is a great tool to have. But let's go ahead and move on. Now that we talked about GimKit, and I don't have a PowerPoint, but GimKit, it's, to me, the way I describe it is a game-based learning program that was actually developed by a student from Seattle. And actually, that student was really bored of playing Kahoot. And he said, you know what, this doesn't work for me. So I want to actually play a game that is going to be engaging and it's actually I'm going to have fun and it's going to be something the students want to play. So, so I call it Kahoot on steroids. And honestly, it's very easy to set up from the student point of view. And the best way I can describe it is games within a game. Okay, you saw the Kahoot game and the way it looks like. I will call it classic in GimKit because you have the ability to do a lot of different games as you are using GimKit. The formative assessment is there part, and I'll show you that. Also engaging, the students have upgrades, they have power-ups, but I do have to say that when you do play GimKit, you do need a lot of questions because otherwise our students are going to have the repetitive questions over and over because it is so engaging and so much fun that you definitely want to have a lot of questions to do it. So let me go ahead and go in there really quick. And the first time you go to GimKit, it's going to ask you to sign up as an educator, and you can do that, and you can just come in here and go ahead and sign up. And if you have a Google account, you can go ahead and do it that way, or you can come and use your email address and continue. GimKit gives you a 14-day trial at the beginning that allows you to use everything that is available right there. So I'm not going to create an account right now. I was going to do it just because I wanted you to see something on it. I might already have an account. Let me try this, okay? With this particular email. Let me just try it. So you will just come in here and just kind of create the account. And there was a reason why I wanted to do this, but it might already have an account. Let's try it. Okay, and it will ask you to find your school, and I'm just going to say US, and I'm just going to find, right? It's going to take you to all of the different choices right here. I'm just going to pick, it doesn't matter right now, any school, okay? Really, okay? And I'm going to pick my area, and I'm going to go world languages because that's what I teach. So I'll go there, and I'll pick what grade level, and I'll go high school because that's what I do, okay? And what I like about GimKit is that when you come in, it is so easy to use that the first time you create it, our student here is going to welcome you and tell you, okay, let's kind of learn a little bit about it, okay? So let's go ahead and do that, okay? So you go next. As a teacher, you'll understand that a kit is basically a set of questions, okay? GimKit. So kit is actually a set of questions for you, okay? So what you call a question set is called a kit, okay? And it contains all the questions inside of it. You can create your own, or you can find existing kits that are made by other teachers. The great thing that Kahoot has and that GimKit has is that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's so much content already created for you, okay? So let's go next. There's tons of way to play, okay? So what makes it special, and again, this is so different to me, is all of the different game modes that you have, okay? I recommend if you are coming from a platform like Kahoot into GimKit, I will definitely tell you to start with the classic mode, because you'll know how to play it, because that is Kahoot basically, okay? But once the students get the hang of it, now you can go to Trust No One, which is based on that game. You have to remember, do you know that name, that game every kid was playing just last summer? Like Trust No One? Yes, Among Us, right? Among Us. That's exactly it. You know, I love The Floor is Lava. And you know why I love that one? Because on this one, the students work together. If you ever seen that, if you ever seen that game show, right? They're actually trying to make sure that the lava doesn't get them. So they're actually working together. You have Draw That too. And you have some other games that I'm going to talk about too. This is what I love too. The classes are safe. So once you are in and you create a class, okay, a kid does not have the ability to enter an inappropriate name. Okay, so it's going to actually use their name, which is great. So if you use classes, it forces the students to use their real names, okay? Makes it impossible for anyone from outside to join too, which I think is pretty amazing. And you're all set. So let's go ahead and go in there. Okay, I created a new account. So you know what? Let me actually switch to one of my accounts that I have. And this is more like it right here, okay? So let's kind of go through it really from the right to the left. So it's GimKit, and notice that again, our questions are called kits, and you can see that I have some of them right here in the middle. Okay, I also can create assignments if I want to, but honestly, I can tell you that GimKit, it's made to be played live.
Oh, yeah.
You want that engagement. You want the students to work in class and to have fun, but at the same time to learn. Okay, it is actually made to do it together. You could create assignments if you wanted to, but I wouldn't use it that way, honestly. And I think a lot of teachers that I talk to, they say that it's better to use it, okay, as a game together, okay? You also have the ability to create classes, as I mentioned, okay? And again, they do have news of new things that are going on. Like they have this brand new game. Again, they're always adding games, okay? This is brand new. This came out. If you've ever, my students, when I was 7, were playing Fishtopia, and they loved it. So just the amount of games that they have and how they tell you what's going on, what they're bringing in, what they're, it's coming, or what new features they have. But let's kind of go through it over here, okay? So again, the ability for you to not have to create kits. I can come in here as a Spanish teacher. Maybe I'm looking for, I don't know, El Futuro. That's what I'm going to do, future tense, okay? And I'm going to look for it. And notice that I have so many games already created. Okay, I love the fact, and I also love this. I think this is makes it a little different. I can actually come and look at, okay, you know what? Yeah, that might work. And I can go. Let me go back. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. I can kind of like hover, and it'll show me what the questions are. So I don't even have to be clicking anywhere else. And as I'm looking, I'm like, you know what? That might be something that might work for me.
And it tells you how many questions.
And it tells you how many questions, right? And it tells you when it was created and so on and so on. You can also filter if you wanted to. So kind of a nice thing that I can come in here and just kind of go through that and look at what they look like and see if this is going to apply to something that I want to use or not, okay? But of course, you also have the ability to create your own if you want to, okay? So I'm going to go to just create a new kit, just really fast, okay? And let's go ahead and call this, let's do El Imperfecto, okay? Imperfect tense in Spanish, okay? And then you have the ability to say language. So I'm just going to pick, for this, I'm going to pick Spanish, actually. So let's go ahead and do that. And then let's go, it automatically knows that it's world language because that's what I pick on my profile, okay? Let's go ahead and go next. And then again, just like Kahoot did, you can pick a picture, right? You can link and so on for it. So just let's pick anything right now. Let's pick that one, okay? And this is what I love about GimKit, okay? I have the ability, just like Teresa did on Kahoot, to add my own questions if I want to, okay? So I can do my multiple questions. I can add photos. I can add audio and make sure that you select your correct answer. Or if you don't do it, it's just gonna go away and you lose all of your jobs. So always select it and add. But something that I love as a Spanish teacher is that I just don't want my kids to know how to say it. I also want them to know how to write it and how to spell it. So I can actually have a question that is text input when the kids actually have to type what the answer is. So I love to do my GimKits where there's maybe 40 multiple choice questions and 20 input where they have to type. So that's something that I do love to use when it comes to GimKit. So that's one way that you can use.
When they type it, you have to be the one to check it. Is that how it works?
No, it checks it automatically because you as a teacher. So if I went to ask a question, right, and I went to text input, I will put the correct answer right here. Okay. And I do have the audio. So think about the pronunciation, right? I'm pronouncing something or telling the kids, and the kids get to actually do the answer, right? As a world language teacher of Spanish. Yeah. And then what's that?
You just can't add video here or anything.
You can add photo, you can add audio right now. Yeah, you're right on that one. Okay, that's okay. But okay, so I can add video. But let's move on to, this is very easy to create questions. So notice how you can do it with flashcards. I can come in here and say, you know what? Here's my question. Here's the answer. Here's the question. Here's the answer. And guess what? GimKit will generate incorrect answers for me. Oh, nice. I don't have to come and create all these wrong answers and select what the right one is. I'll come in here and say, this is the question, this is the answer, this is the question, this is the answer. And now it will generate incorrect questions for me so I can automatically work fast and have it done. So yeah, so what were you saying? Something about a video? It is actually, it is. And you can create your own from question banks that are already out there. So notice that I'm doing El Imperfecto. I wrote that. So these are things that have been created already by hundreds and hundreds of teachers that can come and say, you know what? I want to take that question, not steal but borrow. You know what? I'm going to come and take this question. I can come here and say, you know what? I want all of the questions from this particular one. Okay. And look at how easy that was for me to create my GimKit. And I also have the ability to import from a spreadsheet. If you use something like quizzes, which is going to battle eventually in a tournament, you can bring any of those quizzes through a spreadsheet in here. All done. So I'm ready. Okay. That was boring really when you think about what this is going to look like. Let me show you. I'm going to go to Encanto right now. And I'm going to, again, you can assign us homework, but we're not doing that today. You do have the ability to have reports too in here. Okay, and you have the ability to add to folders, add to class, copies, and so on. But let's go to the fun part. Let's go ahead and play. Okay, and here's the brand new game that we talked about right now, okay, that you can do that, okay? And they have the feature games, and they'll tell you what they are. You know, the Domination, Fishtopia, the classic one, also known as Kahoot. You can do teams if you wanted the kids to work together and have a team competition. But the popular picks, Trust No One, and you mentioned the name of the game, right? Among Us or whatever. The Floor is Lava, where the kids actually get to work together. Humans versus Zombies. They love this game. Yes, they love this game here. They love Draw That, when they have to actually draw. If you love something like Jeopardy, you have the ability to do What Is. in here. Okay. If you're an Avenger fan, you have the Infinity mode. I was subbing at an elementary, and I actually did the Infinity mode to practice our timetables. You have no idea how engaged the kids were with this particular game. They all wanted to collect. I was like, can I stop the game now? Because we got to move on. And they just wanted to keep playing. Okay. You also have the classic twist, super rich mode, boss battle. I love this one when I teach. I actually go against my whole class. It's me against them.
And going against your teacher.
You going against your teachers, basically, right? Hidden mode, drain mode. There's so many more in here. I'm going to go to one of them just so you see what it looks like. Let's go to Infinity mode. Excuse, what are you trying to? Let's go ahead and continue. And then you can assign it to a class. I just want to do this really quick. Assign it to a class. You can make sure that the kids start with some money so it doesn't start from zero. Okay, so all of the kids already have some money. Answer check. So this is something that I recommend because, again, you need a lot of questions. If you don't have a lot of questions, you don't want to turn this on because you don't want to show the kids the correct answer because you want them to get that question again and try it, okay? So I might want to do that, okay? Clean power-ups only because you have the ones where you can damage the opponent or you can, get them in trouble. You can do this. So if you wanted to make it clean, you could do that too and allowing the students to join in late, okay? So we'll go in there, right? And then just to show you, and I know we're not going to play the game, but Teresa, can you do me a favor and try to join so they see what it looks like?
Why would I do that?
Can you please help me?
Okay.
I'm not going to go over everything. Just want to make sure they get to see that, okay?
Hold on, I'm typing.
Okay, and then notice I didn't have a class, so you can add your name to this one. If I would have done it through my class, you would have been able to automatically join. Okay, so let's go ahead and join. Just we're not gonna play the game again. We're just gonna join. Okay, and then I'm in there, winner, and then I'm playing against Rick, some person named Rick. And then let's go ahead and go. So it says be the first to acquire all Infinity Stones. So start game, and the kids love that it starts. And I recommend that you, as the teacher, have the screen of the leaderboard in here. But I also want you to see what it looks like from the student's point of view. Okay. Here's the student's point of view. So notice this is a type question. This person knows that Bruno is in the house the entire time. I have not watched the movie. Teresa, can you tell me what the answer is?
The person knows that Bruno is in the house the entire time. I don't know.
What is her name?
Their names.
Oh my God.
Because my daughter was just watching it again.
I'm going to go Esperanza and I'm probably wrong. Okay. So notice that as you go through it, you can earn money. Okay. But the students love this over here. Okay. I need to show you. Okay. So questions or the shop. So if you go to the shop, they can buy streak bonus. They can buy items such as some of the stones in here. They can buy items to, I wouldn't say hurt, but to slow down the other players that are playing against them. And it's just an engaging game that is so much fun. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. And I think that gives you an idea of what Kahoot can do and also what GimKit can do for in our classrooms as formative, as engaging, and as just a tool that is going to help you work with your students.
Absolutely. I mean, that was actually a lot of fun. Yeah, learning those math tools and then seeing GimKit, Kahoot right next to each other. It's really interesting to see what one has and one doesn't. So I think teachers will prefer either one, but we'll see which one they vote for. Kahoot.
So again, we did our DreamBox and IXL, and also we did our, I think I'm on this side, right? Our GimKit and our GimKit wannabe over here. So you decide, you tell us who's going to move on. And next week, we'll continue with our bracket and see who moves on and see who the winner for our 2022 EdTech Madness Showdown is.
So we'll see you all next week. Don't forget to vote.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.